Hello everyone. My name is Faiz Rangari. I'm assistant professor in electronics engineering department of MS Sabaswati College of Engineering. My subject for the presentation is the sustainability of solar panels and its effects on environment. I'm very much thankful to the Kulkarni sir to give this opportunity to express ourselves, especially related with our own field and relate the content of our own field with respect to the PO7, that is sustainability and environments. Now we need to see a sustainability of solar panels and its effects on the environment. First of all, we will see how the solar panels are sustainable and what are their effects on our environment. If we talk about what is the sustainability, according to the United Nations, the sustainability means the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That means obviously the effects of the development should not affect the future generations. So it has to be compromised. We should not compromise with the future generations content or the future generation needs. That is all about the development that has to be made. That is called a sustainability. Now, if you talk about what is solar panels, so solar panels are nothing but what? They are the photovoltaic modules that consist of series of solar cells that obviously converts a light, that is a light from the sun, into the DC electricity. And then after that, those DC electricity converts into the AC by means of using inverters. So basically, they are a simple renewable energy sources, obviously used to avoid the issues of using fossil fuels. Now, all the solar panels, which is made up of, are a rugged piece of equipment built to last decades of exposures to harsh climate conditions, like obviously freezing to searing temperatures, storms, high winds. That means they are susceptible. They are obviously susceptible, or I should say, you can say they are resistive to the temperature variations. They are resistive to the storms, and they are resistive to the high wind. They are made in such a way that now, so they are obviously sustainable to all these things. And the sustainability or the life of solar panels are up to 20 to 30 years, according to the companies which made the solar panels. If you again see the complete evolution of solar energy and the solar panels throughout the globe or throughout the world, you can see that from the past 10 years, we can say that at the start of a 2010 era, the solar energy which was installed, which was generated, it's around about, you can say that 50 gigawatts power something. And now up to 2019, it goes up to 620 megawatts. The 620 gigawatts, and in from that, if you again divide, we can say that the India, that's our country, is producing almost like 66 megawatts. That is a 10% of our total power. If you see all about the globe, or I should say at least these countries which is actually producing a solar energy in a large way. And again, we see that the era or the generations, or I should say the propagations of a solar energy or a solar installed in our country, it is actually started from a 2014 nearby. You can just see that the complete line over here, that is a color, you can see the dark blue line over here, and then it goes on increasing as the year pass on. And in the 2022, it is almost expected that the India will going to produce solar energy, only the energy from the solar, up from 100 gigawatts up to 100 gigawatts. So this is a projection for the 2022, and that obviously looking that it will going to be attainable. And others, obviously the renewable energies we have using is nothing but what, the wind energy and others renewable energy sources. Now, if you see the advantages of solar panels, why we are going for the solar panels and the solar energies, obviously all the solar photovoltaic systems which are available are very much reliable. They are very well tested before launching it and before installing it, and we need a very low amount of maintenance to maintain it, as compared to the fossil fuel generations, which is obviously always generate a large amount of carbon dioxide, and obviously the maintenance of that, all the generations or the generation parts will always be difficult. Then they always provides a clean and renewable energy Again, as I told, that it is unlike your fossil fuels, which produce a very large amount of a carbon dioxide in the nature. So obviously the solar cells obviously provide a very clean energy, and that is obviously renewable energy. And the technology development in the generation of a solar cells are continuous with respect to time. So that means due to the technology developments, obviously we can obtain a more number of or large amount of energy in a lesser space or a lesser area. If you see that from a past few years, we started with a silicon solar cell. Now we are on the amorphous solar cell. So the amorphous solar cell giving a more or a large amount of energy with the same area, which is what we use for the silicon solar cell. So we are going towards a higher solar cell energy, obtaining a higher solar cell energy with a very lesser area. That's a technology development in the generation of a solar cell. But the question arises, are the solar panels really green? Are they really environmental effective? Now the answer is, with respect to that, I should say it is not completely green. Because if you see the fabrications or fabricating of the panels requires a caustic materials or caustic chemicals such as sodium hydroxide we needed to make a solar cells. We need a hydrofluoric acids to make a solar cell. That obviously not beneficial for the environment. And the process obviously use a large amount of water as well as a large amount of electricity. So while making a solar cell, we need all these things. We need to use the sodium hydroxide, we need to use a hydrofluoric acid, we need to use a large amount of water as well as a large amount of electricity. But obviously hazardous to the environment. The production of all the solar cells obviously emits a large amount of greenhouse gases also that has to be taken care. And obviously at the time of a production, it always create a waste also. So that has to be taken care. That's one issues at the time of a fabrications. So this is all the things has to be considered while the fabrications of a solar cell. Now the other issues after the fabrication of a solar cell. If you can say that all the solar cell having a life of 20 to 30 years, they cannot be sustained more than 20 to 30 years. So what after the 20 to 30 years? If you see that after 20 to 30 years, currently we don't have a technology to recycle all the solar cells yet. So that means since we don't have a recycling process for the solar cells, so obviously after 20 to 30 years of their lifespan, the lots of e-waste will going to generate. Because if you see that the lots of solar cells has been used throughout the world now, because India is projected to generate 100 megawatts, up to 100 megawatts from the solar cell by the 2022. And for that you can assume that how much the solar panel will going to be used, or that has to be needed. So after the 20 years or 25 years of its lifespan of a solar cell, the large amount of e-waste will going to produce. So what we need to do with that e-waste, we need to find out the solutions, because we don't have a recycling process defined yet now. So that has to be find out how to reduce the e-waste. Okay, so now based on these two things, while the fabrications, all the waste will going to be generated due to the large amount of water going to be used, large amount of electricity will going to be used, the gases will going to be produced, the hydroxide and the hydrofluoric acid will going to be produced or used. So that you can say that due to this waste, and obviously the e-waste will going to be produced after the lifespan of a solar cell, we need to say that these problems could undercut solar's ability to fight climate change. And obviously it will reduce the environmental, obviously it will reduce the ability to fight the environmental toxins also. So we need to find out the solution for these two things. We need to reduce the waste, the use of sodium hydroxide, acids, water, electricity, and the gas emissions at the time of fabrications. And we also need to solve the issues related with what? The e-waste that will going to be produced after the lifespan of solar cell. So this is all about nothing but what? The issues of a solar cells on the environment, and obviously the advantages of a solar cells that will going to provide a sustainability at least for 20 to 30 years. So thank you everyone.